Hello there. I'm back. It's been a while since I streamed. Just took a break. Just I think I was doing a little too much. But I want to try it again. And yeah, so I'm excited to, at the very least, finish my Andromeda 6 playthrough. We won't be doing that today. I'll just be playing through Chapter 5 of it, but I'm excited to continue. Just getting set up for the stream manager. But yeah, okay, I think we'll be good. So last we left off in Chapter 4, Vex, our former friend, has joined the crew, although we've learned that there might be something weird going on with his mind. And yeah, it's all been very dramatic. But yeah, we'll jump right back into the game. All right, let's do the little title sequence. Yes. End of episode 4. Episode 5, Orion.mp3. My mind wanders as I pace through the corridors of the palace, the echo of my footsteps swallowed by the carpeted floor. Another day passes in this place that's supposed to be my home. As usual, the days are much the same. With a sigh, I find myself wondering what my life would have been like if I wasn't born royal. Where would I go? What would I do with my life? While I walk, the late afternoon sun sets behind the windows, giving way to a softly darkening sky as night descends in coldness. I'm not supposed to be in this wing, but since it's largely unused, I can wander its halls without fear of being caught. Luckily, the secret tunnels and passages I've found over the years have afforded me a way to move around unseen. I'll never not be grateful for that. Hearing voices nearby, I slow my steps to listen. It's most likely just a couple of gossiping servants, but still, they might have something interesting to say. I creep closer to the corner of the hallway, straining my ears to hear them better. I told you, Seraph, I don't know what you think you overheard, but it certainly wasn't that. A familiar, feminine voice cuts through the space, and when I recognize it, I take a deep breath to avoid being detected. Hi sis. How dumb do you think I am, En? I know what you're planning, and I want in on it. Why should I trust you? Why shouldn't you? I've never given you any reason to doubt me before. There's a pause, and then a soft sigh. Oh, Nerissa's our sister. You understand what this could cost you, Vex. All of us? If we're discovered before the time is right, not one of us will be spared. I promise you I'll do whatever I can to help you succeed. I peek around the corner, just in time to see Vex take a knee in front of my sister. You have my loyalty, Queen Nerissa. Hey, who's there? I gulp as Nerissa looks in my direction, knowing I've been caught. Stemming out from behind the wall, I attempt a casual smile. I was just coming in from the gardens. What are you two doing? She smooths out a wrinkle in her dress and gives me a fond smile. Just discussing palace security. Boring, really. I feel Vex's amused gaze on me. His lips tilted to one side as he watches the exchange. I try my best not to meet his playful grin with one of my own. When Nerissa follows my gaze to him, she clicks her tongue and gives him a dry look. Vex shrugs innocently, his smirk growing higher. What? Lars is very polite. Sorry to interrupt. I'll leave it to it. Nerissa takes a step before I can leave, giving me a small smile. Solaris, wait a second. He turns to Vex again, her lips purse. Though he towers over her, her presence never fails to command attention. We'll continue this later, Lieutenant Seraph. Yes, Princess. Vex throws me a careless wink before he turns to go, leaving me alone with Nerissa. Releasing a breath, Nerissa smiles at me, a weight seeming to fall from her shoulders. I take notes that KYL3, Kyle, her guard of sorts, is nowhere to be seen. Strange, given how close they are, and even stranger, given his penchant, for keeping a close eye on Vex. Should we take a walk, Solaris? With a nod, I step up beside her, letting her set the pace as we walk along the corridor together. After a few steps, she turns to look at me, a familiar scent of her floral perfume drifting through the space between us. I take a deep breath, letting myself linger within the comforts of the scent. Do I even need to ask what you're doing on this side of the palace? She gives me a look of mock severity, and I know she doesn't mind me exploring the place, but unfortunately the king's orders far outweigh hers. I sigh and give a small shrug of my shoulders. I was bored. Narissa nods in understanding, the kind of darkness shadowing her features. It won't be like this forever, you know. What do you mean? She studies me thoughtfully before finally giving a small shake of her head. Nothing. Don't mind me, it's been a long day. For a good few moments she seems lost in thought, or perhaps she's simply enjoying the peace of the empty wing. I can't be sure. Is everything okay? The conversation back there seems serious. Is everything okay? She stops walking and turns to face me, her mouth pulled in a tight line. Of course. Nothing for you to worry about. The doubt must show on my face because she chuckles softly and reaches out to pull a gentle hand on my arm. I mean it. Don't you worry about a thing. I return her smile, hesitating a moment before speaking again. If there's anything I can do to help you. She sighs quietly, her eyes dancing with affection. You help me every day, Solaris, by simply being you. Oh. I would never ask for any more from you, though I appreciate if you didn't mention to anyone what you overheard earlier. I didn't. She holds up a hand and my words trail off into silence. Sorry, 1 sec. Just gotta make sure everything's looking copacetic. Okay, cool. I know what you heard, and it's alright. There are few people I truly trust in the world, but I know that I can count on you. With a nod, I confirm her words. She can trust me. Then a small thought crosses my mind. Can I trust her too? I don't know what was going on between her and Vex back there, nor do I understand why he referred to my sister as Queen. A small trickle of doubt creeps in my mind, worrying that they're up to something that might not end well for either of them. My sister is a series of walking contradictions, warm yet cold, cunning but kind. She plays her parts, wears different masks, yet I can't help but think there's so much more going on beneath the surface that I'm even aware of. The one thing I never doubted is that she loves me, and that in turn she's the most important person in my life. That thought alone is enough for me. You can always trust me. The smile, she reaches forward to brush her fingers over the side of my face. I'll always be there for you, no matter what. Snap out of it, Stowaway. I asked you a question. Sorry, what was it again? I said it's time to do some combat training. If you think that you're setting foot on Orion, you'll need to square up first. Solaris is a pacifist. I don't know about this. I don't know if I can do this. Can I just tag along and watch or something? Where do you think we're going? A bloody luxury hotel? I shrug and Calderon rolls his eyes. All I know about Orion is the few bits and pieces the crew told me over the past few days. You're going to train. It'll do you good. Okay, fine. He shifts on the spot as though assessing me thoroughly, weeding out any weaknesses. You'll have a choice. I want you to be comfortable with the combat style you decide to stick with. The crew have volunteered to train you in whatever you choose. Since we have a few different specialists on board, you're lucky to have options. Shooting at firearms, close combat fighting, and knives. Or hand-to-hand combat and defense. He crosses his arms over his broad chest and gives me a pointed look. So, what'll it be? The choice you make will determine your combat style for the rest of the game. For non-lethal option, choose firearms and select the option to stun later in the episode. Solaris they don't want to kill people. And it'll be interesting if we ever get to the ability to retract that choice. Even in maybe an individual basis. Might be kind of fun, just for their own personal growth in there. But I think just especially based on a lot of the interactions that they had with Damon in earlier chapters of just being no, it's terrible to kill people. I think it's really important for them to be to not necessarily go full mercenary. Let's stun people. I guess I'll take the guns. Fine. June will be training you in Riona. Meet them down the docks in 5. He strolls off to the bridge, his shoulders tight, and I slip into my room to change into something more suitable for physical activity. Sorting through an assortment of clothes I've acquired, spares from the crew, and a few things I've been able to pick up on Geranium, I find a comfortable pair of pants and a plain t-shirt. That's cute that they borrow the crew's clothes. Also, I imagine Solaris is very tiny. They're just the tiniest person ever. So I don't know why everything's gonna be really big on them. Maybe some of like Aya's like clothes, but I think they're very different builds. But yeah. My room is still pretty bare, but Damon has left me a couple of books, insisting I had to read them. So cute. We're gonna start a book club. And Riona had gifted me with a small plant to make the place look more homey. It's so cute. And of course, Bash's drawings are up here, very sweet. And then and then there's some of the notes and drawings that Bash had left on my door, the ones that always made me smile. I kept them as a reminder that I don't have to be alone. Your friends now. After finishing in my room, I take a minute to duck into the kitchen and grab a bottle of water. Smart, before making my way downstairs to join June and Riona. Although I'm not entirely enthused by the prospect of this training thing, I force myself to look on the bright side. It can't hurt for me to learn how to defend myself better. When I reach the docks, I find June already there. He looks up as I approach, his face softening somehow. Solaris, I'm glad you chose to train with me. You are? He nods, a soft smile forming on his lips. It doesn't take long for it to slowly fade. Where we're going, it'll make us all feel better to know you have a basic set of skills to defend yourself with. Is Orion really so bad? Not Orion. The planet itself is safe enough, but the facility we'll be going into... He hesitates, his eyes glazed over as old demons creep up on him. Ellis has sunk these bombs onto our ship as a means for us to destroy the prime facility in the mind. I'm on board with that. But this will be the first time I've been back since I... He stops himself, pinning me with those stormy gray eyes, the ones fighting back 100 shades of green. I don't know how I'll handle being back there. I give him a reassuring smile, but before I can say anything, the sound of footsteps on metal echoes through the space. Sorry I'm late. Riona's soft voice cuts through the silence as she descends the stairs and hurries over. When she stands in front of us, catching her breath, she gives me an apologetic smile. I've been doing some texts on vests. I've lost track of time. It's fine. You're here now. How's Vex doing? How is Vex? Is he doing okay? Riona grimaces, pushing a few strands of silver hair back from her face. To be perfectly honest, he's not great. His moods are so unpredictable, it's difficult to know where to start. Have you made any progress at all? Very little. I have a couple of methods in mind that might help him, but they could be very risky. I hate to break this up, but we don't have a lot of time to get Solaris up to speed. We'll be on Orion before we know it. Riona gives a nod in understanding. Of course, we can talk more about this later. I forgot how long this chapter is. June hovers over a selection of weapons nearby, picking out a handheld gun and holding it out to me. Here, take this. It's a blaster. I take it, handle first, and note the weight of the weapon in my hand, the coolness of the metal against my skin. See that small panel inside? Slide it back. That switch gives you the option to stun or kill. Make sure it's set to stun. That way we won't destroy the entire ship if we have any slip-ups. After first making sure the blaster set to stun, I then slide the panel back into place where it locks with a click. Riona? June hands another plaster over to her, and she takes it tentatively. I really hate having to do this. I know, but it's the only way I'll grow comfortable using a weapon again. And from what I've heard, you had no trouble in Cursa. Besides the time I had the barrel of gun to a man's head that you're now treating in your hospital wing, it's fine. With a sigh, Riona checks her own switch on the blaster and adjusts the weapons in her hand. I'm sorry, June. I just don't trust myself. Well, I trust you, if that's any help. She lets out a small, disbelieving laugh and cocks her head to the side. I suppose it helps a little. June takes a small device, no bigger than a teapot, and sets it on the ground further back. When he activates it, a large wall of energy emanates from the device, cutting through the space. A couple of holographic targets appear fully rendered in front of us. We'll be using the simulator for target practice. You can shoot it safely, and it'll absorb the energy from the blasters. We'll start off easy with stationary targets. He crosses to one side, folding his arms over his chest as he looks towards us. Riona, you first. There's a tremble in Riona's breath as she inhales, holding the blaster in front of her. Then she fires. 5 shots in a row, all with terrifying accuracy. Hot. I've already seen her action. I know what she's capable of, so it makes me wonder why she needs these lessons at all. Jabri, Solaris, your turn now. I mimic the way Riona held the blaster, raising and pointing at the targets. I think Solaris is really bad at this. Solaris is kind of a loser. I don't know how else to explain it. They're just bad at things. But they're very sweet. But they're simply not cool at all. So my hands are shaking. I don't think I'll ever be able to do this. I pull the trigger once, feeling the blaster recoil as a bolt of energy surges forward and soars straight past the targets. Give it another try. With my blaster aims at the target, I pull the trigger again. My shot is closer this time, but still not accurate enough to hit the holo. My arms fall to my sides and let a dejected huff of air. Don't worry, it'll take some practice, but you'll get the hang of it. You have a lot more faith in me than I do, June. We spend the rest of the afternoon training together, moving from stationary targets to moving ones, and then doing a small battle simulation. There's a lot of fumbling on my part. I accidentally knocked Riona into a pile of crates at one point. I'm sorry. By the end of the session, however, I feel like I picked up a few useful tips. I think we can leave it there for now. We might be able to squeeze in another session in the morning before we arrive. Sure, thanks for training with me, June. Not a problem. I hand the gun back to June as he heads over to place it by the rest, making sure everything is tidy and in its proper place. When I look to Riona, I find she hasn't moved. She stands perfectly still, her eyes fixed on the holograms. It's like June's chapter, so we will be talking to June. Certain chapters, over the course of a couple chapters, are kind of dedicated to different characters as they kind of go through their arcs and stuff. Right now, we're in the middle of like June and Vex's. As before, we were really with Damon a lot, which is why we spent a lot of time with Damon there. But I kind of want to match the energy of certain characters. And it's just like, I don't know, getting to know them as they kind of resolve their arcs. I step closer to June with a smile, watching with curiosity how he handles a wide variety of blasters in front of him with practice ease. Is training always like this? My question is hesitant. This was an absolute disaster, and it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to my fighting skills. I'm far from being comfortable at it, but maybe if I just keep at it? We always get blasters and shoot at targets, if that's the question. He chuckles, putting away the guns we used today. But I try to come up with different ways to train constantly, doing the same thing every time would be boring, wouldn't it? And not everyone responds well to the same kind of training, so it's important to try and help everyone improve with their training, as well as get us ready for different and unexpected situations. Especially considering that things are only bound to get worse from now on and going to Orion of all things. June heaves a sigh and shakes his head slightly as he turns to finish putting the guns away. It's odd how a man like June can be more comfortable handling all these weapons and talking about these things, but maybe now is my chance to ask. Do you want to talk about it? June's shoulders tense for a moment before he looks at the gun's display and turns around to face me. Thanks, Dolores, but some things are better left unsaid. His words are nice, but clearly final. This isn't a subject June enjoys talking about. It wouldn't be fair of me to push him on it, much less after all the trouble he went through to teach me the basics just now. I give him a warm smile in response, and I'm pleased to see June letting out a long breath, his shoulders relaxing in turn. How did you like handling a gun for the first time? I'm not sure, honestly. All I know is I sucked at it, which I was honestly expecting, so I've never fired a weapon before, nor participated in simulation exercise, and this is all it, right? Training? As I rub my hands together, try and play that chill that ran down my spine at that, as if I was just cold from the low temperature down here. It doesn't seem to fool June, who narrows his eyes slightly at me. I don't know if I'll be able to actually handle it out there. When lives are at stake, it might sound sheltered, but it's not the reality I grew up in, and that's scary, terrifying, numbing, dizzy. I can name countless adjectives to describe how the prospect of having to shoot someone makes me feel, but I keep it to myself. I don't want to be a burden. That's why I'm training. No, I won't be a burden. June seems to set my unease and places a strong, soothing hand on my shoulder. The touch acts like an anchor to me, immediately grounding me back in reality. We can't control what's going to happen out there, Solaris, but we're all a team here. You don't have to worry. No one is expecting you to be as good as a weapon as the rest of us overnight. Trust me. I mean, we could flirt a little bit, but no, we're doing the non-romance route if you were new joining us. And if you want to, get to flirt with these cuties, I highly suggest you go download the game yourself. It's Andromeda 6, and it's on itch.io with a Steam release sometime once the game is finished. So yeah, I trust you, all of you. June smiles at me, giving my shoulder another squeeze before letting me go. And you can trust me as well. If you need me, I'm here. I know. I'm glad you are. Like I said, Orion is not going to be walking the park, but if we're all together, it'll be fine. And I mean all of us, you included. There's no hiding the smile that curls my lips up. Hearing June say with such certainty that he considers me a part of them, it's hard not to beam like a fool. Circumstance aside, I'm glad I met the crew, especially June. He's a great friend. Thanks for stopping by to talk to me now. I wasn't sure we'd have a chance to do it before the mission. I couldn't walk out here without talking to you. You've done so much for me, and besides, I enjoy our conversations. Good. So do I. Are you holding up okay, though? What with Vex on board and everything, I mean... All at once, I feel the familiar sting of tears behind my eyes, and I bite down on my bottom lip to hold them back. It's a challenge, especially with Vex on the ship with us. I'm just trying to keep my thoughts on the future and preparing myself for Orion. June gives me a small smile and takes a deep breath. It does help to have something else to focus on. Excuse me, Solaris. I have some stuff I need to sort out before we land. Oh, yeah. Sure, I should get going too. Again, thanks for the training. You did good today. See you later then. With a final smile, June gives me a nod and walks away. I stay behind and watch him go, sighing when the door slides shut behind him. Looking around, I notice Riona must have left while we were chatting. I hope she's okay. With nothing left to do, I decide to head back to my room for a shower and some much-needed rest. After getting clean and grabbing something to eat, I relax in my room for a while, pulling out my holopad and searching the planet we'll soon be landing on. I learned that Orion was the first settlement for humans when they left Earth almost 1,000 years ago. The species thrived on the planet, which wasn't too different from their home as they had left behind, and overpopulation soon threatened to destroy entirely. That was when the first human city was built on Goldus and the early monarchy established. My ancestors. I take in as much information as I can, blazing through articles on science, agriculture, and politics until my eyes can't take it any longer. Setting my holopad aside, I push myself up from my bed and stretch out the stiffness from my muscles. I just gotta test something real quick. Push myself up from my bed. Yep. Okay. Good. Never mind. Okay, we're good. There's one thing that's been on my mind. One thing I know I can't continue to push away that I need to face head on. Vex. With a heavy sigh, I head to the infirmary in search of answers. The scent of Riona's mister hits me when I enter. I can't quite place what the smell is, but it calms me somehow. Like lavender or soft vanilla. It almost makes me want to head right back to my room and curl up under the covers. Solaris, what brings you here? Riona greets me with a soft smile from when she sits across the room, entering data into her computer. I came to see how everything's going. Just peachy, as you can see. Damon cuts in from where he lounges in the medical chair in the corner, a folded book held in one hand while he leans his head back against his other arm. He doesn't look up, but I get the feeling he knows exactly what's going on in the room around him without having to look at all. A quick glance further into the room gives me a glimpse of Vex, laying on one of the beds behind the set of half-drawn navy curtains. His eyes are closed, his chest moving up and down with a gentle breathing. A pair of round discs are attached to either side of his temple. We're monitoring his brain activity while he sleeps. Riona explains when she sees me watching him, beckoning me over to her computer. Research is the first step in finding a way to help restore him to, himself. See these lines here? She points to the corner of the screen where a series of wavy lines are wiggling in a box. It tells us that when he's asleep, the procedure he went through has little to no effect. All of his dreams are his own. His nightmares, too. Damon snorts, and Riona throws him a tired look. If we want your opinion, we'll ask for it. Thank you very much. That's not what you said before Solaris showed up, Doc. You were happy to spout all your medical mumbo-jumbo to me then. That was before you started dropping poisonous flowers into Vex's water jug while I wasn't looking. Damon laughs out loud, and Riona seems less than impressed. It's not funny. Says the one who held a gun to the guy's head. Dude, this is why I went with them on Cursa. Riona's eyes go wide, and Damon seems to realize what he said a moment too late. Shit, I'm sorry, Rhea. I was just playing around. I feel her tense beside me. I feel that tension drift through the room between them. Don't be mad at me. I'm an idiot, remember? Oh. She lets out a long, labored breath and swipes the back of her hand across her forehead. I swear I see the corner of her mouth quirk upwards. Do you always have to be so infuriating? He gives her a lazy grin, his mouth opening before her eyes narrow on him further. Okay, fine. I'm shutting up. He holds a hand in front of him in defense and sits back on the chair. Banished to the corner for a reason, I remember. Rona turns her smile on me, though I can clearly see Damon smirking in the background. Listen, she was for real for doing that to Vex. Their friendship is so weird. So, Zovek did mess with Vex's mind then? It's what we suspected. The very tissue in his brain has been tampered with. Almost like the wires have been pulled out and shoved back into the wrong sockets, rendering his former thoughts and feelings obsolete. Can you help him? She hesitates, sighing when she glances at Vex's sleeping form. There's still a lot I don't understand, and I don't have the technology on the ship to figure it all out. Where do we find the technology we need? Orion? She grimaces, and I don't miss the look she exchanges with Damon. Only Talaran would have what we need to really get into his head, but it's more than that. I'm afraid this is above my skill level. So, what does that mean? We do nothing? I'm trying to stabilize him, but it's only a temporary fix. If we want to remove the corruption from his mind permanently, then we'll need help. Come on, Doc. You know you're doing a bang-up job. Damon sits up in his chair, places a book down beside him, giving her a fond look. If you can't figure it out, it's only because Zovak and his mad doctor made it so. Rona gives him a grateful smile and rings her long fingers together. Damon focuses his attention on me. We've been in contact with Alyssa, and boy did she find something. What was it? Another doctor's victim. She spoke with the family, who said the subject hadn't been the same after they found her. Blank. Empty. The perfect puppet waiting for someone to pull her strings. But there's more. I wait for him to continue, swallowing around the lump in my throat. The family of the victim seemed to believe the procedure wasn't complete, but there was another step. They were only rumors. Rona steps in, her brow furrowing at the thought. My skin crawls as the chill Damon's words have left in the air. On Cursa, rumors hold weight. What more could they do? Infuse them with Orionite. Turn puppets into super soldiers. We don't know how they do it exactly, but we do know they have a hold full of explosives ready to put a stop to it. And will blowing up the mines be enough to stop it? He shrugs unhelpfully, releasing a tired breath of air. Well, would you know anything about it? Riona and Damon exchange another one of those looks, a silent conversation. He might, but we wouldn't dare ask. June is fragile. When it comes to Orion, the labs, and Orion especially, one has to tread carefully. Besides, there's only one Orionite in the system. Blow that sky high, and it's bye-bye evil green rocks. He gives a dramatic flourish with one hand before he smirks. Cues Zovak crying into his golden bed sheets. I frown, my eyes drawn to Vex in his peaceful sleeping form. Did Alyssa find out if there's a way to reverse the procedure? No. No one knows how. No one on Cursa knows how. Riona raised her eyebrows at him, as if to say, don't give up hope yet. But I don't understand. If Vex was already working with Zovak, why put him through such a procedure? Why does Zovak do anything he does? For control. Signs do suggest that the procedure Vex endured wasn't entirely successful even in this state. If it was, we wouldn't be seeing glimpses of Vex's true self that we have been. I wouldn't particularly say that's a good thing. Damon mumbles into silence, blowing a long breath before he drops in the chair and closes his eyes, a weird expression on his face. I step closer to the curtain that separates Vex's bed from the rest of the room and peer through it. He looks so peaceful when he sleeps. He almost looks like the same man I knew from the palace, the one whose friendship had made my life better than I ever could have imagined. It hurts now, seeing what he's become, knowing what he's done to me and my family. I wonder what business he has on Orion. He seems to be genuine and agreeing to help us get to the planet's safety, and I suppose him hitching a ride with us is the favor we're doing him in return. And so the question remains, does he even want to be helped? Have you spoken with him much about what happened to him? I've tried, but he hasn't been very forthcoming. The easiest way to study him is when he's unconscious, but I'm afraid it doesn't give me an accurate reading of what's going on in his brain when he's awake. I'll be doing some work on him in the morning that might help him stay more lucid, if only for a while. We'll need him to be cooperative as we get closer to Orion. What does all this mean? I don't know yet, but Solaris, it's possible that when he betrayed you, he didn't do it willingly. That hits me like a punch to the gut. The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end, a wave of nausea rolling over me. I've been trying to bring myself to terms that Vex betrayed me in the worst possible way, and now tears prick the back of my eyes, my chest growing tight with emotion. Seeing my distress, Riona places a comforting hand on my shoulder. We'll find a way to help him. I promise. Oh good, I missed the pity party. All three of our heads snap towards the bed where Vex lays, rubbing his eyes and yawning. He sits up in bed, his eyebrows dipping in the middle when he looks at us. Vex, how are you feeling? Like I'd still be asleep if the lot of you hadn't woken me up. Isn't he charming? A real gentleman. Shut your trap, you're the loudest of them all. Vex groans and he pushes himself up and swings his leg over the edge, sitting at the edge of the bed. He gives Rowan a softer look than when he had just given Damon. Any progress? There might be a little. Will you hold still for a few moments while I check some of the data? He nods, and Fiona sits back in front of the computer, tapping away on the keyboard in front of her. I will stay and talk to him. Without waiting for any kind of permission, I head toward the half-open curtain and slip past it. Vex gives me a side glance where I stand near the end of the bed, his voice still rough from sleep when he speaks. How's it going, Your Highness? Fiona told me what happened to you. Vex raised an eyebrow at my abruptness, but he doesn't seem to mind it. Oh yeah, what did your doctor say? I sigh, my shoulders slumping tiredly. I'm not sure Rayoni's been listening to us, instead paying too much attention to the data on her screen. Damon, on the other hand, I have no doubt that he's listening on every single word. What I needed to hear, I suppose. For a brief moment, I think back to all the times we sneak around the palace in search of a new adventure. How bright his eyes were when he came up with the crazy idea I'd inevitably go along with. It's hard to push down the wave of feelings the memory brings, but somehow I manage. Sorry you've been stuck in the infirmary for so long. Not like I have anywhere else to be. His face seems hard when he watches me, but if I look closely, I swear I can see a softness in his eyes. Perhaps it's just my own imagination. Vex is still struggling, I can see that, but now I know the reason why. Trying to piece together his betrayal with what Zobak has done to him is one of the most difficult things I've had to do. But when it comes down to it, I now know who the true villain of the story is. I'm about to turn right around and leave when he reaches out to me. He hesitates a moment before letting his hand fall back to his side. Don't go. Oh. I stare for a moment, stunned. Then I take a seat near the edge of the bed and give him a small smile. Okay. He lets out a long breath and runs a hand through his scarlet hair. As I think we learn later that he feels better when you're around. I heard you've been doing some combat training. How's it going? Bad. So bad, man. I let out a small laugh and shake my head. I've had one session. I don't think I'm going to sign up for the guard anytime soon. Yeah, well, fighting isn't easy, but at least you're giving it a go. I managed a small smile, though Vex purses his lips and glances away quickly. It's impossible to read the man. It was already difficult before, but now that he's like this, it's damn near impossible. But still, I can't let the chance pass me by. How are you enjoying your stay with us? I know you're stuck with Damon, but how's it been? Vex gives me a weak shrug. Not as bad as I thought it'd be, I guess. Damon isn't half as much as a nag as I expected. Just as much of an asshole, but he doesn't walk around breathing down my neck, so that's a win. But what do you do all day? Vex shrugs, frowning slightly when he thinks of an answer. We talk, read, train, drink, nothing special, I guess. All pretty boring stuff if you think about it, but it's helping me out in a way. How so? His words pique my interest, and immediately being closer to hear his response. He doesn't seem to notice or chooses to ignore my eagerness. I don't really get it, but sometimes he'll say or do something, and it does something to me. It's never been anything special or in particular, but sometimes little things bring something to mind from our time working together, I mean. So mostly random and weird things, right? Vex lets out a genuine laugh at my input, and it's hard to hide my excitement at the small, brief glimpse of the real Vex. You know us, what else to expect? I laugh at the carelessness in his statement, a weird response to having your whole self taken away from you. I'm not sure if this isn't all an act, but as long as he doesn't lose hope, I can't complain. Silence settles between us, and I catch Vex's eyes glazing over, staring at nothing. Worry twists my inside, and the words leave me before I can think better of it. Are you doing okay? Vex snaps his gaze to mine, eyebrows raised and eyes wide. Me? Yes, who else? Sure, I'm okay. You don't have to pretend with me, Vex. Oh. I love their relationship, like, romantic or not. And honestly, kind of even their friendship, even more than the romance, it's so sweet. Solaris, I sigh, hesitating before I speak again. There's something I need to ask you. He cocks his head at me, his expression grim. What are you going to do after Orion? You said you needed to go there for some reason. Are you planning on staying? I have business to attend to on the planet, yes. As for what I'll do after that, I don't particularly enjoy fighting against my own mind half the time. I suppose I'll need to find a way to take care of that. You can come with us. Riona would keep trying to help you if you let her. He frowns. I swear I see something crumble inside him. Why would you say that? After everything I've done. I don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve any of it. I mean, I want all of these things. I want to tell him all. I want to hold his hand. But they just, okay. I'm your friend, Vex. I just want to see you get better. I give him a kind smile, trying to get him to feel even a fraction of my emotions. You have to get better. How else are we going to be friends again? I didn't spend all that time sneaking around the palace with you for you to be allowed to go ahead and forget it, you know. He lets out a strained laugh, shakes his head. There's no smile on his face, but his eyes look bright, happier even. You're too good for me, Solaris. Someone clears their throat nearby, and I start a little, having almost forgotten there are others around. I'm sorry to interrupt. Vex, can I take a few blood samples? Sure thing. I'll leave to it. I should get some rest before tomorrow. See you then. Vex nods, I say my goodbyes and head back to my room, ready to get some sleep before we arrive in Orion. And Damon watching the whole thing. I step onto the bridge the next morning, my muscles sore and aching from the quick training session I managed to squeeze in after breakfast. Training has gone much the same as yesterday, but it gave me some more time to get used to the guns I'm using on Orion, and June seems pleased with my progress. The weight of the blaster currently strapped to a holster around my thigh feels strange, but I'm comforted to know I have a way to protect myself, since I did not take that knife. A knife sits on a holster on my belt, ready to be used in a case of emergency. They forcibly given me that knife. The crew are all waiting when I arrive, even Vex, who stands securely between Damon and Riona. Riona had mentioned she'd be doing some work on Vex this morning, and I wonder if it went well. When I look at him, he seems to be doing okay. I can only hope that's the case. Now that everyone's here, we've got a few things to go over before we land. Cal folds his arms over his chest as he looks us all over. I don't miss the look of the taste he gives Vex, but seeing how we need him to help us get onto the planet safely, there's not much he can do about his presence. Damon starts off with the plan. Damon steps forward, and there's no trace of amusement, no sarcasm, no anything but steely determination. He stares us down. I have more of an idea now why Calderon trusted him with the rank of second in command. We've been in contact with Lys and Zane and finalized a plan for how to use the explosives most efficiently. There are 2 locations we need to hit, the prime facility and the mine itself. We'll be splitting into 2 groups. Kyle, Rion, and I will take the mines. It'll be more effective with only 3 of us. The rest of you will wait until we've triggered the evacuation, which will hit both the locations at once, and June will lead you in a facility where you place the explosives. Damon looks at June, who gives a swift nod in confirmation. Though he's doing what he can to help, the look on his face tells me he's less than pleased with the idea. We'll need to detonate the explosives at both locations at the same time to avoid any unwanted tension in one particular place while we're making our escape. Cal and I will be on comms. The rest of you are there to watch each other's backs. Are we clear on that? A collective murmur goes to the crew, though Damon's sharp eyes linger on Vex, moving only when the other man gives a nod. We'll be going in during daylight when the prisoners held in the facility will be working in the mines. This way, evacuation will be smoother, meaning the prisoners don't get hurt in the process. After setting the timer on the bombs, get us out of the building as fast as you can and meet back on the ship. There ain't enough of us to take on an entire Chimera unit to avoid the fight unless you have no other choice. According to Alyssa, she's made some new friends inside the system who will swoop in after we give them the signal. Once Chimera is vulnerable, they'll finish off the rest of the bastards and pick up the prisoners. He shoves his hand in the pocket of his coat, a familiar feline grin finally making an appearance. Any questions? Yeah, what happens when shit goes south? You die. What? Relax, I'm only kidding. Most of us have done shit like this 1,000 times already. Well, mostly me, but still. It's also why I'm putting you all in the facility team instead of the mines. It's considerably safer and easier to navigate, especially during the day. The place will be pretty much deserted when you break in, and you'll be with someone who knows the first-hand layout of the place. Stick together, you'll be fine. He steps back again, and Calderon takes a spot ahead of the group. Both June and Vex have given a detailed idea of what we might meet on the planet. We know that Zovac has his soldiers posted at both locations, and there's a chance we'll run into something worse. He nods at Vex, who steps forward next. I'll give him the short of it so we don't have much time to spare. Zovac is fusing Orionite with soldiers from the Guard, the ones who refuse to bend the knee to him. He's making a new breed of super soldiers. Steve Rogers is quaking somewhere. Last I heard, it wasn't going as well as he planned. The soldiers couldn't handle the Orionite. They were mutating to the worst kind of way, and more often than not ended up dead. Only a few could survive it, and you better pray to whatever god tickles your fantasy we don't run into any of them today. My eyes instinctively go to June, watching the muscles clench in his tightened jaw. I feel sick imagining what he has to put himself through today in order us to pull this off. Knowing what Zovak is doing to the guard, people that Calder and Ayame likely used to know, it makes it so much worse. There's also, he's reprogrammed every VTB he can get his hands on, forcing them to fight for him. My heart drops to my chest, and Calderon must have misread the look on my face because he turns to me and explains the term. Vantage's tactile bots. I swallow around the lump in my throat and nod solemnly. Yeah, I know what a VTB is. Nurse's guard, her best friend. He was a reprogrammed VTB. A pang of sorrow hits me when I think of Kyle. I don't know what became of him after Zova's attack, but with Narissa gone, I have no doubt he went down trying to protect her. And another person needlessly lost. But if Kay is among the VTBs forced to fight for Zovak, I can't bear to think of it. I can't stop myself from glancing at Vex. He was friends with both of them, my sister and Kay. At least I thought he was. The look he gives me in return is indecipherable. If I run to either of them, the Orionite soldiers or the VTBs, my best advice is to run. There's no hope taking them out with the numbers we have. Maybe June or Damon know a way to put one of them out swiftly, but if they have to worry about protecting anyone else, it'd be an impossible task. I think you underestimate us, buddy. Do as he says. You see one of those things and you get the hell out of there. Objective is to place the explosive and bring the place down. Anyone wants to go ahead and be a hero can save it for another day. We all agree, and I chase a hand on my blaster, hoping I won't have to use it today. Ayame, how we looking? Good to go, just as soon as Red here is ready to get us through some serious security. Calderon waves a hand at the co-pilot seat and looks at Vex. Chair's all yours. Don't screw us over, it'll be lights out for you before your feet even hit the ground. Vex huffs a laugh as he heads for Cal's usual seat, drops down into it, spinning the chair around. Sir, I never went like that, big guy? Yeah. Most of the time he's worse. If anything, I'd say he was being nice. Enough already. Damon, stay up here with the two of them, keep an eye on things. The rest of you follow me to the cargo hold. We'll strap in down there. What about me? You just stay here. Take that chair and keep quiet. Sorry about that. Personally, I prefer if you stay in the docks, but it'd be a lot easier for a ship this size to blend in if there's a 4-man crew on the bridge. Your face isn't plastered in any wanted posters like the rest of us. You mean Damon's isn't? Damon is in better graces with Zovak than most of us. But enough chit-chat, we're about to breach the security perimeter. Stay safe, stowaway. With a final nod, the captain walks away, and I rush to take my assigned seat. Damon sits with remarkable calm in his usual seats, even yawning when he watches Aya and Vax talking in front of us. I can't ignore the jitters I feel the closer we get to Orion, but with a deep breath, I force myself to focus. If I look nervous, we're sure to fail the inspection, and I won't accept that. This is a notice to inform you are about to breach Orion's airspace. Identify yourself and your objective. Tal's voice rings through the comms, and I fear I am taking a deep breath before pressing the button and responding. This is the AT Cruiser 906 requesting permission to land. We're hired to transport one of your own. This is Agent Seraph, ID number 7004Z. I lost contact with my vessel in Terranium and had to secure external transportation. Please hold while we check. Move the fuck along, Mez. I haven't got all fucking day to wait around for you to do your job. Vex growls in the comms. That has Damon chuckling, but Aya merely rolls her eyes, fighting the smile that tugs at her lips. Me, on the other hand, I'm terrified by that. We're trying to get in, he acts like that? God. Yes, sir. Apologies, sir. It'll just be a moment. That's more like it. It's getting shit done. Damon openly laughs at Daff while I stare wide-eyed at the scene, trying to grasp what just happened. That little Mez, scrawny bald bastard who can even open a bottle of beer. One and only. He's gotten a bit taller, though. But he's not half bad at his job. It's fun to scare him sometimes. Oh, the good old days. Shame we're here to make his life living hell, but oh well. He's not stationed on the facility. What, hesitate to kill an old friend? Talk about me or you, Vexy? Or do I need me to remind you how you... Aiden Seraph, sir, your ship has been granted permission to land. We just need to know the ETA to leave the premises. We perform a basic checkup when we land. There's odd noise in our... I can never pronounce this word. Tertiary cooling piston. I'd like to get it cleaned up before leaving. Arrangements at a specialized facility have already been made and expected would take no longer than 0800 hours. Just let my new friends patch this junk before leaving, Mez. Not a problem. Please refrain from overstaying said time. I can give you a little leeway because you're with Agent Sarah, but I can't make any promises on behalf of the other teams. Good enough for me, Baldy. I'll be sure to buy you a beer next time we meet, I promise. I appreciate the assistance. We'll be landing now. ETA to reach atmosphere is 15 minutes. Roger. ATT Cruiser 906 is cleared now. And it's good to have you back, sir. And just like that, we're cleared. Aya tells us all to buckle up and leads us straight toward Orion. It's hard to believe we actually made it, even less so when I see all the destroyers, frigates, and battleships spread out around Orion's atmosphere. The sight makes me shiver, and I close my eyes tight to calm myself while we land. This was only the first step. The worst is yet to come. No. What a cute little blanket. And it looks how warm it is, and the cute little drawings. As soon as we land, I hurried off to my room to drop off my jacket. It was remarkably warmer than we expected, and it'd be a hindrance to walk around with useless extra weight. I don't feel overly confident in my skills to get us through this mission, but I do trust the crew. We will make it work. As I make my way to the door to hurry outside, I stop for a moment and look out my window. The forest we landed on is stunning. It's like something straight out of a book, and it's hard to force myself to walk away from it. With a sigh, I straighten my back and walk away, hurrying as I make my way through the ship to join the crew. The forest around us might be pretty, but our goal is the very opposite of that. It's a prospect that fills me with dread, but I can't afford to dwell on it now. When I reach the corridor to the docks, I spot Bash waving at me from the door leading downstairs before he turns and disappears through it. I quickly make my way after him, stopping at the top of the staircase to double-check all the weapons strapped to me. I pull my blaster out of the holster and notice the gun is set to stun. We will leave it on stun. Satisfied with that, I shove it back in its holster. Just because I might get into a fight doesn't mean I fancy risking taking a life with my own hands. Some lines should not be crossed. We have this conversation with Damon in this very corridor. Once I'm sure everything is fine, I rush downstairs, barely noticing the docks as I make my way outside and set foot for the first time on Orion. It's so pretty. It is objectively terrible what we're gonna do, but it's so beautiful. A warm, gentle breeze strokes me as I step outside. I am stunned when I look around. We're in a dense but soothing forest, right next to a stream with a waterfall visible in near distance. Its sound coupled with a chirping bird brings about a peaceful feeling, even though I'm as tense as I've ever been. I think that I'm going to turn the music down because I think it's a loud track and my microphone is not very good. Warm sunlight peeks through the trees, casting a soft yellow glow around us. There are weird, round, curious ruins strewn about, all broken and deteriorating, yet still intrinsically beautiful. I have so many questions and a maddening urge to go off exploring every inch of this place. Oh, yeah, this would be such a fun video game level and a not necessarily open world, but I don't know. I can imagine this is a proper little running around video game, something like Fallout. Just getting to explore every inch of this map. This map would be awesome. It's a shame we can't afford the luxury now. Alright, listen up. The facility is just behind this group of trees, but there are no guards or security systems in place here. There is, however, a patrol train that sweeps by every hour, so we have to hurry because we're on the clock. Vex doesn't speak too loudly, but his voice seems to echo around the clearing we're in, and we all nod at him. It's too late to question or trust in him. We either follow his lead, or we're doomed. He's got his rifle safely strapped to his back now. It's weird to see him armed again after all of the days he spent with us, yet it seems to be a part of him. I was surprised Kyle was fine with Vex coming with us while armed, but I think we can't afford to dismiss the help just to be on the safe side. Still, I don't think Vex has any intentions to betray us now. In complete silence and moving as a solid unit, we run toward the edge of the forest. My heart hammers in my chest and my palms feel sweaty. Knees weak. I push my nerves away. This isn't the time for doubt or hesitation. This is time for action. Soon enough, we reach our destination. We stop just at the edge of the tree line, and my chin drops while I see a massive building that looms in front of us. It's large, at least 5 stories tall, and who knows how many underground floors. Its walls are stark white, and has wide, mirrored glass windows spread all over its geometrical architecture. It's beautiful. So beautiful. It's terrifying. And I immediately hate it. We're going in. The alarm will go off in 15 minutes after we get in, so stay sharp because the troll team will make their rounds in exactly 17 minutes, which means there isn't 1 second to waste. Don't let your guards down. Good luck, everyone. We all nod, and me and the rest of the crew sit tight, watching while the three of them rush to a side entrance I'm assuming leads to the mines. The minutes fly by, but none of us utters a single word. The tension around us thick enough I could taste it. The time to go is fast approaching, and we don't have a second to waste. Sooner than I expected, June signals us, and we all rush after him into the building. The fear of being caught prickles the back of my neck, but I ignore it and press on. We go inside through a different door than the captain and the others went through, and what meets us is far away from the scenery of a mine as possible. The facility is already looked massive on the outside, but the inside it's even more imposing. It has tall walls that seem to be divided into several blocks, all connecting through overhanging bridges surrounded by glass walls. The whole place is a sickening off-white color, with harsh white lights casting eerie shadows over all of us. I just got in, and I can't wait to leave. I say a silent prayer that everything goes well, and we manage to get out of here sooner rather than later, but I'm not sure how effective this will turn out to be. Also, I've never noticed, but this is like a wide shot. I've literally seen this background so many times, and I've never put together until now that this is a wide shot, that this isn't to scale. Like these, we would be walking here. We could walk through those. I don't know. I thought this was human size. I might be stupid. A huge hollow spear takes over the center of the lobby, and we step closer to check it out. This is the map of the facility. Apparently, it's still the exact same thing it used to be. We don't need to waste any time with it. It's this way. I'm impressed by the sheer level of detail in this hollow sphere map, but even more impressed by the fact that June doesn't even need it in the least. Nobody questions him, and we all quickly follow his lead. The facility is completely empty. The evacuation alarm must have worked, thankfully, and we were able to move in without any concerns. Soon enough, June has led us into two locations on the first and second floor where Bash and Aya set up barns near essential columns. From what they explained to me, as long as we take out the key structures out, the whole building will follow suit, unable to support its own weight without these structures. I mean, it's huge, right? So we're making our way to the third floor, not a single word uttered without need. I've caught Vex checking out random rooms while we make our way over, and while it did look suspicious, he's made nothing to indicate he's about to run or turn on us. It's almost as if he's searching for something, but I don't think he'll rest until he finds it. We turn a sharp corner and enter a completely empty corridor. There are no ornaments, no signs to indicate what rooms are there. There's nothing. We still have 3 bombs plants. I think we're making good time. I can only hope the team in the mines is having a smoother job as we are. Still, something feels off with this corridor. My body tenses more and more the further we go, and I can see June's knuckles whitening as he tightens his grip on his guns. It's in here. The old labs are through here. They should be deactivated after all these years, so it would be as simple as planting a bomb in an empty room. With a determined, if not angry look in his eyes, he locks his jaw and pushes open the pair of doors. The moment he sees the inside of the room, though, his face goes blank and he leaves us behind, walking into the room as though he's been put under a spell. This is the creepiest fucking room in the game. I hate this. Oh, they're fucking creepy. Oh, I don't like it. Very sci-fi, though. It's very fun. We step through the set of doors June entered, and we find ourselves what can only be described as the most horrifying I've ever seen. A variety of cables come out of the ceiling and floor with countless machines and research papers strewn around. Green lighting adds to the eerie feeling of the room, and it's scarily silent. Ooh, I don't like that silence. This reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever watched Critical Role during the Aor arc, right at the end of the game. They go through all of these like abandoned tunnels and stuff, and it really turns into like a sci-fi. Like goes from like a very like kind of like traditionally like high fantasy to something that feels very science fiction, and they have like all these creatures in tubes and all these like creepy medical wards, and it's very fun. I do love games where it's like you work in this like high fantasy world and then it suddenly takes a wide turn to like a really intense sci-fi. Elder Scrolls kind of does that a little bit. Skyrim, it definitely does like a little bit with your parts of things when you get into like some of the Dwemer stuff in like the main storyline. I don't know, it's like a very specific trope, but I do like it. But yes, I do love a creepy little fantasy lab. It's almost as if life itself had been sucked out of this room, as if death swept this place up and walked away, leaving only ghosts chained by misery and pain in its wake. This is a mad scientist's lair, a place that's most likely giving birth to so many nightmares that it makes my knees tremble from merely thinking about it. I hear the others gasping and taking sharp breaths just as sight as I do. It's an unsettling room, no matter who you are or where you're from. Slowly, with hesitant steps, I approach one of the large cylinders. Ooh, it's Halloween! Spooky! That's connected to countless cable. It's foggy, and it's hard to make out what's inside, or if there even is anything in the green fluid. A weird low growl comes inside when I step forward. I immediately retreat, my heart hammering my chest of what I see inside, and what I see everywhere. There's a person in there. Or what used to be a person, I think. Its limbs are too long, its muscles too stretched. Its face is completely covered by a large metal mask with a tube connecting it to the top of the cylinder. And they are everywhere. Every cylinder has someone inside. The room further in countless of these creatures behind glass windows, faceless, shapeless creatures, deformed and deprived of all humanity. It's hard to breathe and to think in here. My ears ring lightly and my breathing goes labored. I'm on the verge of a panic attack. I can feel it. And just about to lose it, my companion's voice is dragging me back to reality, and I struggle to focus on whatever it is they're talking about. You okay? June, you should wait by the door with Vex. Shut up. Bash and I widen their eyes to the tone of June's voice. My panic long gone when I see the contorted look on his face. Even Vex by the door has a serious look on his face, his hand hovering near a panel to open and run if need be. This place shouldn't exist. This place should have died with him. What are you talking about, June? I don't like that sprite! June punches a monitor on the desk closest to him, smashing the screen as if it was made of a thin layer of fragile glass, and he doesn't look at me when he replies, his eyes fixed on the cylinders spread around the room. I forgot how spooky this chapter is. Great pick for Halloween. I know it's not Halloween. It's close to Halloween. I can't tell if his eyes are gray or green anymore. I can see Ayame and Bash taking a careful step back. This whole place, this disgusting torture room. I destroyed it. I tore it to fucking shreds all those years ago. I killed all of them with my bare hands. How did they rebuild it? How the fuck did they know how to replicate the procedure? How dare they? June is trembling. His whole body is tense and the rage in his voice is palpable. He's not even speaking to me, but it makes the hairs on the back of my neck raise regardless. He tears his hands into the smashed monitor, his knuckles cut and bleeding. A blood that's green? No, it's red, but it glows faintly in a green color, almost as if it's alive. Could it be that he'd been experimented on so much his body is different than ours? Mumbling to himself, he shuffles through the stack of folders on the desk, flipping through them like a madman in search of something, stopping and tearing out a page in one of the folders, a murderous look on his face. Mother. What? I asked under breath, unsure of what I've heard. He couldn't possibly mean. So that bitch survived. With a dark chuckle, he pushes the stack of folders to the floor. His eyes are entirely glazed over with a green fog now. He's hulking out, you guys. And I'm not sure June's even still aware of our presence here with him. Nothing I can't fix. Dude, this is not funny. We gotta plant a bomb in this room and at least 3 other places on the floor, and we gotta do it now. June, please. These bastards think they can use people as their guinea pigs. They think it's all justifiable as long as for the greater good. Yes, they're right. They're right because it's exactly why I'm going to murder every single thing in this room. He's so spooky! His little fang. I'm obsessed with the fang. I love it. The little veins. Sexy. One monster walking around is enough. I don't need any company from the defective freaks in this fucking lab. June's fists are clenched at his sides. His body seems bigger somehow, his muscles more pronounced, shoulders tense and hunched forward. But it's not that catches my eye, it's the green. The gray in his eyes have been completely overtaken by bright, sickening green. The veins on his body glow, trailing a blazing green map over his skin. When he turns his head to his side, glaring and growling as he approaches the closest glass cylinder, I can see a sharp fang poking out amongst his teeth. I can't tell if he's always had a sharper canine or if it's yet another byproduct of the horrors he went through when he was younger. With a loud scream, June attacks the cylinder. His guns remain in their holsters though, and they seem like a child's toy when I see the vicious damage his fist caused with this thick glass in the cylinder. Bash curses behind us, and Ayame lets out a low whimper. Vex, still by the door, gestures for us to get out. It seems like the logical thing to do. Sure, we didn't manage to plant a bomb here, but something tells me this place won't have a single wall left standing. June is done with it. But still, is it right for us to leave him here? Solaris makes bad decisions. We're gonna try and reach him. Listen, I never claimed Solaris was particularly bright. This might be the stupidest thing I've ever done, but I wouldn't be able to sleep if I didn't at least try to help him. I take a step forward just as June pulls off the cable that was linked to the mask on the creature's face. June, we have to go. I let my voice drift off to take another step closer. I'm careful not to startle him, but I can't let him go. I have to do something, anything. June, please listen to me. I reach out to touch his shoulder, but a strong hand pulls me back and cuts me off. Literally the worst possible decision in your life, Solaris. Bash whispers behind me, and a wave of dread washes over me when June tears the cylinder apart, dropping that creature's broken body on the floor. It's still twitching, almost as if it's gasping for air in a desperate final attempt to survive. Until June growls and steps on its head, squashing as though it had the density of an orange. A gasp escapes me at the sight, and I cover my mouth with my hands and attempt to muffle the sound, but it's too late. No! June looks over his shoulder at us, holding his head with his clean hand. The green veins are spread over to his face, making the bright green in his eyes all the more pronounced. But more than that, there's a murderous look on his face. Pure, unabashed rage stretches his features, and I can't fight the chill the sight brings me. Get them out of here. Go and place the other bombs. I'll meet you soon. But I'm fine, Aya. This is what I really am. I'm only sorry you had to be here to see this. My heart aches at the shame etched in his voice, but there's nothing I can do to help. There's nothing any of us can do. I get it now. This is something he has to deal with himself, else he won't ever get the closure he needs. There's so many things I want to ask him, so much I want to know, but we can do this later. Don't worry about this room. I've got a bomb with me and there won't be anything left standing before I plant it. Bash gives him a sharp nod and pulls me out of the room in a rush with Ayame hot on our heels. Seeing June like that was certainly not what I expected, and I'm sure Ayame and Bash were just as shocked. The look on their faces that guide us through the next bomb location is any indicator. Vex is probably just as shocked, but when I turn to check up on him, I catch him sneaking away through a side door with a determined look on his face. I really, really shouldn't do it. I sigh, slowing my steps enough so Ayame and Bash won't hear me sneak away as well, and I follow Vex through the same door he went. The whole thing with June is still haunting me, but I can push those thoughts away. I can hear the sound of metal being wrecked in the distance. I can only hope you'll catch up with the others soon. But right now, I have a runaway to worry about. Trailing for the facility, I take care to stay far enough behind him that he won't notice my presence. He keeps up the pace, as swift as the sniper he is. Does he even know where he's going? This might have something to do with the business he mentioned that he had here, or it could be more sinister than all of that. When I turn the corner, I lost sight of him. Shit. I keep going one direction, hoping I'll find a clue in one of the deserted corridors, but all of them look exactly the same. I'm about to give up completely and find a way back to the others when I stumble around the next corner and I see it. A door. An enormous cylindrical door, and it's standing half open. I creep toward it cautiously, my senses on high alert. There are no sounds, nothing but an eerie silence. The air grows thicker the closer I get to that foreboding door. Slipping through the entrance, I find a set of grated metal stairs leaning down as far as I can see. I step down into the darkness, my heart beating beneath my chest like the wings of a tiny hummingbird. I don't see Vex. I don't hear anything besides the rush of blood in my ears. Why did I follow him? Last time I did, it didn't end well, and I still find myself here. If this is a trap, I can't say I don't deserve it. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous. When I emerge from the stairs, letting my eyes adjust to the lack of light, I hit a ramp that goes down further still. The cavernous cylindrical room engulfs me on all sides, dark, sterile, and utterly hopeless in its appearance. Rows upon rows of heavy steel doors leave no doubt to us what this place is. Prison. I tiptoe towards the closest cell, using the fluorescent light above the door to peer into the darkness. Empty. Creeping to the next one, I find the same thing again and again. These cells are all empty, which means that the prisoners, as we expected, would be in the mines. I can only pray that each and every one of them is evacuated during the alarm. Ugh! The growl and then a thump echoes through the space and rumbles off the metal walls. My heart picks up speed as I follow the sounds, my hand tightening around my blaster. It's only when I clear the catwalk and see the flash of the computer monitor that my pulse starts to slow. Vex? I squint through the dim light, finding him tapping away at a panel on the wall frantically. Where are they? Where are they? Vex, what's going on? The scent of rust and stale air hangs in my nose. Compared to the rest of the facility, the prison is dark, dingy, and unkempt. My heart goes out to the poor souls who've been forced to live here. God damn it! Vex growls through the darkness, frantically sweeping through screen after screen. I've never seen him so distraught. and then he stops, his fingers poised over the monitor. No. With a deafening crack, he puts his fist to the screen, the monitor flicking for a few seconds before going black. He keeps his hand embedded in the glass as his head falls against the wall, his shoulders moving up and down as he takes big, shuddering breaths. Then he pulls his fist back again before launching it at the already broken screen again and again until the glass is nothing but splinters and his hand drips blood over the grates beneath us. Stop! I launch myself forward right as he buries his face in his hand and screams, his sound echoing sharply through the cavernous space. He drops to his knees, head bowed and fist clenched tight. I put a hand on his shoulder and try one last time to get through to him. What's happened? He chokes on a breath before he answers, his voice filled with emotion. Oh, it's like crying Sprite. It's my parents. They're dead. He managed to grit the words out through his gasps of pain. Sovak lied to me all this time. Of course we're going to comfort him. I dropped down to his level, my fingers moving over his back to comfort him. Now I understand why he wanted to come here. His parents must have been in this prison and he was hoping to find them. My heart clenches uncomfortably. I know what it's like to lose your family, and it seems now Vex does too. Ooh. Uh-oh. I'm about to find out what he did. A few long moments pass before he calms his breathing long enough to look at me. I'm so sorry, Solaris. There's one thing I haven't told you. An ominous chill runs down my spine. I find myself backing up out of instinct. I get the feeling I'm not going to like what he says next. What is it? He clenches his teeth, fighting against himself. It was me. It was me. What are you talking about? My chest clenches, every muscle in my body tensing up. Whatever Vex is trying to tell me is causing him so much pain he can barely speak. He takes in a few trembling breaths before he faces me, tears streaming down his face. I remember. I left the palace so I could stop him. Sovak. I couldn't let him hurt you, or Kyle, or... He growls and chokes on a sob, his eyes squeezing out tears when they shut tight against whatever he's feeling. I told him my mission was a failure, that there was no easy way in the palace or past this extensive security. I was stupid, an absolute fool. He knew I was lying from the second I opened my mouth, but I was desperate. So that's why you left? You weren't returning to Sovak. You were trying to stop him from attacking us? But I don't understand. The attack happened anyway. Riona mentioned you've been put through some sort of procedure? Vex nods, his usual bright eyes going dark. The doctor. Cue Dr. Hugh music. It's the only name I've ever heard them call him. He's a madman from Cursa. Experiments with ship that's best left alone. There's nothing I could do when Sovak gave the order. He knew I was hiding something and I was never going to talk. He grits his teeth tight, the muscles in his jaw feathering with his emotions. The procedure they performed on me was a wiping of the temporal lobe. He forced me to have everything taken away. What I felt for you was gone, and I told him everything. He takes another breath, composing himself well enough to explain. I told him about Nerissa, what she was planning, how I was working with her against Sovak to strip King Fenris from his throne. She would have done it too. She had allies. She had Talaran? She had Talaran? Interesting. A flash of something savage, something strange washes over him, and I know he's struggling against himself. I step closer, speak quietly, urging him on. What happened to my sister's plans? Sovak was forced to strike first. As soon as he learned when Nerissa's planning, he rallied everything he had to take them, all of you, out. He bows his head toward the grate, overcome with grief. I told her she had my loyalty, and I meant it. I asked her to trust me, and when she did, I betrayed her. But you didn't do it willingly. Sovak forced you into telling him what she was doing. Before that, you were really on our side? He nods, but something still pains him. As I got closer with you and became friends with Nerissa, I knew there was a better way to bring stability to the system. That's why you were working with Sovak in the first place? For his vision of the system? Not entirely. I did it for my parents. When I was 14, they were brought here to this prison. They ran a small tech repair shop in the Silver District, and when their taxes became too much to keep up with, they were sentenced to a life working in the Orionite mines. I was created to the Chimeri under the pretense that I would save them, all of them. King Fenris sent good people, innocent people, to suffer in the mines for the smallest of infractions. Something had to be done to stop, and the Chimeri had a plan to do it. But Nerissa, I knew she was better for the people, that she would be a fair ruler. So I switched sides, knowing that when she was queen, she would help me find my parents and give the people of Salata the life they deserve. Your father was never going to be harmed. Nerissa would have had him abdicate the throne by amassing a force against him. But she needed more time to set the pieces in place. Sovak was close to striking, so I left to buy her that time. She had no idea what I was doing. My mind swirls with confusion, roars and roils against everything I thought I knew. How did I not see what Nerissa was planning? But Nerissa hated our father. Why would she bother with abdication when she could have just killed him? She might have hated him in theory, but she cared about him too much to see him harmed. And besides, what kind of standard would that set for her reign? I can't explain why, but I almost feel betrayed by my own sister. Why had she kept this from me? Why didn't she let me help? The one thing I knew for sure was Vex had been trying to help us both. I think I understand now. What happened when he left? Vex, you can't blame yourself for that. Not when Zovak did something so vile and intrusive to force you to talk. His face shatters, 1,000 daggers of motion striking him all at once. There's more. My heart drops in my chest, my throat tightening, dreading the look in his eyes. What more could there be? Vex squeezes his eyes closed as though ashamed of what he's about to say, his hands trembling at his sides. I fought against my own brain from the second they wiped it. Fought so hard it was tearing me apart from the inside. When I wasn't drowning in a mind that wasn't my own, all I could think about was getting back to you, of warning you. Night came when Zovak and the Chimera would storm the palace, and I was given instructions of my own. Vex breaks down again. When he drops his head, tears stream from the tip of his nose. His hands shake so badly they rattle the grate beneath them. I tried to stop myself. I would have put a bullet in my own head before carrying out those orders, but the more I fought against it, the harder it was to stay lucid. The ballroom was chaos. I don't think Zovak expected so many people to fight back, as deluded as he was about his own hero complex. I couldn't find you. You weren't at the wedding like I expected. And he remembered because of us in Terranium, so I wonder if we had been there, maybe it could have been enough to fix him. Ooh. He chokes on a sob, his fingers running through his chair and gripping so hard I half expected the strands to tear out completely. Nerissa was there, and before I knew what was happening, the sound of my own gun was ringing through my ears. The world falls down around me, and my eyes go wide, firmly fixed on the broken man in front of me. No, you can't. I struggle with the words as my chest caves and my mouth goes dry. I don't want to hear anymore. I can't hear anymore, but he keeps going. She was in my arms, and the blood. There was so much blood. It was all over me, soaked through my skin. Stop. I killed her. I killed Nerissa. Pain rings through my ears, boils the blood in my veins. I lean against the railing to steady myself before I fall. This can't be true. It can't. Nerissa. I killed her, and the pain was overwhelming. I couldn't stand the guilt of knowing what I'd done, so I gave into the shadows of my mind. I let them consume me, and I knew nothing of my own self until I saw you, on Terranium. The rush of my own blood thunders in my ears, drowning out the world around me. My lungs tighten painfully in my chest as I struggle for breath. I can't. It was me, Solaris. It was me. I'm so sorry for what I've done. Sorry. Oh. You just be a bitch and be like, fuck you. You're right. It was your fault. No, it wasn't your fault. I'd taken a few deep breaths, trying to compose myself enough to think straight. Nerissa's gone. I already knew that. And knowing the Vex was the one to do it is enough to shatter me all over again. But when I look at him, seeing him so broken, so overcome with grief and regrets, I know I'm not the only one who's struggling. It hurts so much, but I forgive you. Nerissa would have wanted me to. He looks at me stunned. His voice shakes when he speaks. You should hate me. I can't forgive myself. You have to. I'll help you. He breaks down again, and I kneel beside him, pulling him into my arms and feeling the weight of his destruction rumble through me. Nothing matters now. My parents are dead. Nerissa's dead. What else do I have? You have me. You have me, Vex. Before I can answer, shouts echo from above, and my head snaps towards the sight of Chimera soldiers swarming the prison. They're down here. I grab Vex by the arm, attempting to pull him to his feet. Vex, get up. We have to go. He lets me help him up, and I scan the prison wildly, looking for an exit. This way. The way I'd come from is clear of soldiers, and decided it would be best to have at least some semblance of where I'm going. My feet pound over the grated floor as I head for the stairs, Vex hot on my heels. We travel up and up the same way I'd come down before, and when we reach the corridor near the labs, I skid to a stop looking for any sign of the others. A quick glance of the area tells me that it's empty, terrifyingly empty, and I shudder to think of what June might have done in there. Come on, let's keep going. I motion for Vex to follow, and we continue through the facility, which I hope is the right direction to reach the main lobby. It doesn't take long for shouts and footsteps to echo behind us, and I know we're still being pursued. I skid around another corner, almost colliding with the person who was coming from the other direction at the same time. Solaris! My heart leaps in my chest at the sight of IMA, June, and Batch. Where the hell have you been? The bomb's beset. We have to get out of here now. Shouts echo from behind us, the hairs on the back of my neck standing up on end as the Chimera closes the distance. Hurry up, let's go. We race through the corridors of the facility, following June lead and trusting him to get us out of here in time. My feet pound on the linoleum floors, and this time I'm not worried about keeping quiet, because they already know that we're here. I only hope we can cause enough of a distraction to keep them away from the bombs. Aya's headgear illuminates, and Kelleran's voice can faintly be heard through the earpiece. Aya, what the hell's going on? We've evacuated the mines. It's time to go. We're coming. Just hold your goddamn horses. The horses have been well and truly left the stables. Get your asses out here before I come in and haul you out myself. All right. Picking up speed, we tumble through the corridors and race around corners, pushing ourselves to keep ahead of the Chimera. We at last reach the lobby, and I have to put a firm firmly down to avoid colliding with Bash as he comes to a sudden stop. When I look past him, I see exactly what's blocking our way. As we can see him, we're blocked from both the front and the rear by Chimera soldiers, the half-moon insignia on their dark armor giving them away. There aren't as many as there were in Cursa, but it's still enough to outnumber the 5 of us 4-1. I follow suit the others as they raise their hand, and the soldiers step forward, presumably to disarm us. Before they can take more than a few steps, gunfire screams through the whole floor, and one of the soldiers crumples to the ground. The second shot is fired, taking out another soldier, and a third and fourth fall forward, revealing an extremely smug-looking assassin in their stead. Thought you could use some help? Really? That's the grand entrance you used to make? Let's just get this done. Damon, Kelleran, and Riona fight their way through the Chimera towards us, while the rest of the crew take the back line. Though he was just broken minutes ago, even Vex takes down a pair of soldiers, swiping one of their guns and finishing them both off with ease. By the look of fury I see flushing his face, I can tell this is some kind of step towards revenge for his parents. Distracted by the others, I don't realize until it's too late that another soldier is heading straight towards me. A weight sends me sprawling to the ground, knocking the wind from my lungs, and it's when I scramble backward I find the soldier descending on me with the blade of his sword. Pulling the blast from my holster, I take aim and shoot. The blast only grazes the soldier's arms, but it's enough to stop the sword mid-swing. I got you! Bash braces past and finished off with a fist to the face, throwing me a wink as he passes by. The atrium is alight with battle as each of the crew faces off against our enemies, vastly outnumbered, but willing to fight to the death. I glance around wildly for where I can help before I make a move. The ground trembles beneath my feet. Ripple goes through the entire floor, followed by a deep rumble, and then the deafening sound of explosives booming through the building. The floor behind me caves in, taking soldiers with it. Everyone, get the hell out of here! I push myself to my feet, run as fast as my legs would carry me, fearing the sound of destruction lapping at my heels. I fall hard, launching out in time to grab the edge of the crumbling floor as I fall against the pit, hanging by only a thread. Despite my better judgment, I looked down and immediately regret the decision. Among the rubble below lay broken bodies of Chimera soldiers dead in the dust. The drop alone is enough to kill me, enough to tear the breath right from my lungs. I'm going to fall, I'm going to die. In these last precious moments, my thought turns to only one thing. The choice you make will determine your romantic interest for the rest of the game. Choose none if you wish to play a non-romantic route. You cannot change this choice after it's made. So yeah, so you can pick any of them there. But we will not be. We're doing non-romance routes. But yeah, and also you have the option, I believe, to eliminate June, Damon's, and Vex's route by then. Yeah, by choosing certain options, you just completely eliminate them. Which I do have a route which I affectionately refer to as the bastard routes, where I'd just be as much of a dick as possible. And yeah, getting to the screen and seeing like half of the options unavailable to me was very funny. But yes, we will be choosing none. My thoughts turn to Nerissa, my sister, my family. As though she were here, right next to me, I hear her voice clear and strong in my ear. Keep going, Solaris. Don't let it end here. Adrenaline pumps through my veins, and with renewed strength, I use the broken remnants of the facility floor to push myself up with enough to grip the edge with both hands. Solaris! June, over here! A pair of arms help me to my feet, followed by a second pair as I and June find me. Thank God, we were so worried. Are you alright, Solaris? I look back at the pit behind me and shiver. I was very nearly not alright at all. I'm okay. Can we please just get out of here? This way. I follow the two of them through the wrecked building, through the scenes of destruction and death. For the first time, I noticed the atrium is clear, with bodies scattered among the wreckage. The building groans with the aftermath of the explosions, and Ayame grabs me by the hands. Quick! Together, we race through the main doors of the buildings. I scan the bodies as we pass, searching desperately and hoping I don't spy any familiar faces among the rubble. As we hit the main doors, all I've seen is the familiar black of Chimera armor. When we step outside and the late afternoon sun hits my face and warms my skin, a sigh of relief goes through me. The rest of the crew are waiting in the distance, near the tree line. As we approach, the look of relief in all their faces is enough to have me crumbling. They're all here. We're all okay. We need to get back to the ship and signal our new friends before a second wave of soldiers descends on us. Where are the prisoners? Did everyone make it out all right? They're in a valley not far from here. With our help, we managed to take out their captors. They have leaders among them who are taking care of the others. They already know that help is on the way. I let out a heavy breath. It's such a relief to know our plan succeeded, and yet somehow I still can't believe it. It'll be dark soon. We should get back to the ship and get this thing down immediately. Let's stick to the forest. It'll be hard for any aircraft to spot that way. Agreed. We stick together as a group as we head back into the forest, letting the trees surround and protect us like silent guardians. Everyone is quiet, lost in their own thoughts, but there's a sense of contentment that has settled over the group. We've done something important today. We've taken our first step in the fight against Zovac, and I want to do more. I want to keep fighting until we've righted all the wrongs he's done to every single one of us, and by the look on the crew's faces, I can tell they feel the same way. Even Vex is deep in thought. I know we wouldn't have made it this far today without his help, and I'm grateful for that. We reach the ship while it's still bright outside, the sunlight filtering through the trees and into the clearing. We need to send the signal quick. Once the others have arrived, we can get out of here. Where will we go? I don't know yet. First, we'll head to one of the Merc stations and reply. Then we make a plan from there. I'll head inside and contact the others. I'll come with you. Ayame and Damon disappear up in the ramp and into the ship while the others take a few moments to catch their breath and enjoy the peace of the forest. Stretching my arms high above my head, I make my way into the shade of the trees to find some privacy. Slipping behind a pair of them, I lose sight of the crew, falling into a world of my own. After escaping from the facility and making it back to the ship, I find my adrenaline is slowly draining away, exhaustion beginning to dawn on me. My hands shake when I think of earlier. I'm so relieved I managed to get out of there with Aya and June's help. I hate to think of what would have happened if I had slipped and fell before they arrived. The very thought sends a shiver racing down my spine. Once again, my thoughts turn to Nerissa and I smile. It's hard to believe how clearly I can still hear her voice. She might have had her secrets, and I'll probably never learn the truth behind her actions, but still, she was always there for me, just as she was there for me today. I sigh and look up through the trees, letting my eyes rest for a moment on the bright sunshine that filters through the trees. I wish Nerissa could still be alive, somewhere, somehow. I know it's wishful thinking, especially after what I learned today, but still, part of me, a childish, foolish part, can't help but hope. I miss her, obviously, but it's more than that. After everything I've been through lately and today, I just know she would be proud of me. And this is only the beginning. I'm still lost in my own thoughts when Ayame struts down the ramp of the ship, yelling at us all to get inside. I don't miss the curious glance she sends my way when I emerge from the forest, but all she does is beam at me and wave, hurrying me to move along. With a smile on my face, I head back to the ship, and for the first time in a long time, I feel happy. Late afternoon sun fills me with its last heat, and I know that when it rises again tomorrow, I'll be facing a different kind of day. It's the thought of this that has me quietly smiling to myself, excited for the things to come. Until a gunshot rings in my ears, the sound so loud it deafens the world around me. Silence swiftly follows, my eyebrows dipping at the absence of birdsong, the trickle of water that now seems so far away. Goosebumps race to the surface of my skin, the air of the forest seemed to close in and stifle me. I didn't feel a thing. It wasn't. A low groan reaches my ears, and when I look towards Vex, my eyes widen in horror. They widen in horror at the dark red stain that spreads over the front of his jacket and soaks through the crimson fabric. At the blood that covers his hands when he pulls them away from the gunshot wound and stares at me, his face gone deathly white. No! Solaris! Oh my god. End of episode 5. But yeah, we'll leave it off here for today. Thank you very much for joining me. I've been having a lot of fun playing through. Restart required. Yes. So we will tackle chapter 6 next time. And yeah, we will jump back in. We'll jump back in next time I play. But yeah, it's been an absolute blast playing through here, and I'm excited to explore chapter 6 because I know there were some updates to it. since the last time I played, some more content there and some bug fixes, which is very exciting. But yeah, and then that is where the game kind of leaves off until episode 7 gets released, which I'm also very, very excited about. But yes, again, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, I hope you all have a good day. All right, bye.